Hi, my name is Jeremy, your dedicated F5 account manager. Now, I've had a few calls with some of the members on your team, and they asked me to come in and give you some more context about what F5 looks like holistically. Before we get into the conversation, though, I did want to ask, are there any questions that you might have for us to answer during our time together? Okay, great. Thanks so much. Typically, I'll start with a quick 10 to 15 minute whiteboard, giving a high-level overview, and then we'll take the remaining time of our meeting to get a better understanding of how we might be a fit. Also, I did have this meeting on our calendar for an hour. Is that still good? Great, thanks so much. So when you think of F5, actually when the world thinks of F5, we think of one thing, which is enterprise-based load balancing, both local and global, right? It's what got us on the map. Over 20 years ago, during the boom of the dot-com era, app servers that were on-prem would crash due to the immense amount of traffic that were coming to them. They needed something to sit between the clients and then the traffic that was coming in to their servers. So I'm just going to put some application servers over here. And then we're going to have my friend Charlie on the client side. And Charlie and his 1 million closest friends are all trying to access the coolest e-commerce site out there, right? But what happened is there was so much traffic coming in and nothing that was sitting between that traffic coming from the clients and the actual application service itself. What did it do? It crashed. We all know this, right? So they needed some sort of intermediary, and that intermediary became F5. Now, F5 sat between the servers from the data center and the clients to intelligently steer or load balancing that traffic to whichever application server had the highest capacity to take that new traffic on. This is actually our secret sauce here, which is our full proxy architecture. We sit intentionally between the client side and the server side traffic, trying to gain access to these applications. So I'll tell you, our full proxy architecture puts us in a very unique position to provide much more than just load balancing. For the past 20 years, we've been providing distributed denial of service-based protection, things like access management and VPN tunneling. Over 20 years ago, our architecture put us in the market not just as a load balancer, but as a security company. So instead of just being the premier load balancer, we have grown to become one of the premier application security providers in the world today. Then, as we know, things have changed. So now let's go from the past into the present, which is applications that have started moving away from the traditional on-premises data center. So now we have, rather than on-prem, we can have App 1 in Azure. We can have App 2 in AWS. We can have Google Cloud Platform, Ali, and more. Now we have apps that we don't even know. App 3 is going to be as a service, or like O365 that your organization is using today, or Salesforce or Workday, ServiceNow, and more. Lastly, we have modernized applications, and they don't look like monolithic applications. What they look like is, and I'm going to draw it right here, they are in containers with microservices, and they're communicating via application programmable interfaces or APIs. And if the cloud wasn't complex enough, organizations like yours still have to deal with the risk and exposure that comes in from the outside. So things that we have to put into account. Non-human traffic. What does that mean? That means bad bots, right? Non-human traffic. Something that I wanted to share with you is that 33% of the entire world's internet traffic today is both non-human and malicious in intent. It's a botnet. This is tough because our clients around the world depend on good bots to improve user experiences. The second thing that I want to share with you is that when traffic comes through, and I'll just put it right here, and it is encrypted, We have challenges seen with our clients with encrypted data, as well as the struggle that comes through with trying to decrypt ingress traffic with current security inspection devices. And these current security inspection devices, I'm just going to put down here as intrusion detection, intrusion prevention, things like data loss prevention, next generation firewall. These devices struggle to decrypt packets in real time without a performance hit. The last thing is around APIs. And I want to share with you that around 90% of all internet traffic is API related, leaving a large area of exposure for organizations utilizing these APIs for apps to communicate with each other. So organizations like yours have reached out to us at F5. They've asked us to help provide some positive outcomes to some of the challenges that you see on the board. Number one is, how can we get help with our current cloud migration? And when we're migrating to the cloud, how do we drive consistent policy deployment and enforcement across our multi-cloud environment? Number three, how do we recognize human versus non-human traffic, the good bots from the bad bots, and then how, after we identify bots versus botnets, do we grant traffic to the good bots and then deny traffic to the bad? Now, when traffic comes in, knowing that 80%, mostly all of the internet traffic today in the world is encrypted, and that our inspection zone solutions right here weren't designed to decrypt, inspect, and re-encrypt. Also knowing that if we choose to do this and daisy chain, we'll experience intolerable latency or worse, a disruption to the network traffic. How do we solve for this in real time so that we can have visibility to those encrypted-based threats? How do we manage and secure our API traffic now that our calls per day have escalated to the millions and more? But what about also these guys right here, our modernized base applications that sit in containers with microservices? How do we provide services to these much differently created applications? And lastly, but certainly not least, how do I make it as easy as possible? Easy to learn, easy to implement, easy to deploy, and easy as possible for my developers to use the application services provided to create apps that are really four things. Number one is fast. Number two, highly available. Number three, accessible. Accessible by the right device, at the right time, at the right location, with the right context. And then four, how do we make it as impenetrable and as secure as possible? F5 doesn't just provide our clients with one solution here. We are in the business of providing holistic services to any app everywhere, which allows us to provide an app service to solution to all of the clouds. For businesses that are migrating to the cloud, we're able to provide those applications the same exact type of service that they know, that they love, and that they choose with F5 when it's on-prem. The second thing is we are able to provide consistent deployment and enforcement regardless of which cloud your apps are at, because our clients, well, they typically have a multi-cloud based strategy. We can also recognize the bad bots from the good bots. And I'll just draw a good bot right here. This traffic comes in and we are able to, through some machine learning and being able to get to know your web application very well, grant access to those good bots and then reject or deny access to those bad bots. We also have the ability to decrypt encrypted data in real time and then pass it to your inspection zone to have them do their jobs. That's fully optimizing the investment that our clients have made. If those inspection devices acknowledge that this traffic is good, then they'll pass it back to F5 and F5 will send it off to its final destination. We also have an API-based solution through NGINX that currently manages and secures the API traffic of organizations that have reached over 1 trillion calls per day. As well with NGINX, an instance of NGINX Plus is so small, in fact, 2 megabytes in size, that it easily fits inside a container tied to the hip of your microservices and providing that microservice the application services that it requires. And I can tell you that this is easy for your developers to integrate with their current CI/CD pipeline and easy to deploy with the workloads that you need secured and serviced. So here's where F5 has done the right things in order to support our clients like we do today. Number one, we're a debt-free organization with over $1 billion of positive cash flow. Number two, we have a significant and take a significant percentage of our cash and invest it annually into research and development projects to always stay at the bleeding edge for our clients. Number three, we have the ability to make strategic acquisitions as we did with NGINX in an effort to provide you with the most comprehensive portfolio of services in the world. Now, I want to share with you that there are a few organizations with both the reach of F5 and the finances to action into life solutions that our clients need today. And this is something that we are so proud of and eager to have a deeper conversation with you about. So far, though, this meeting has been about us and what our identity is around app services. What I'd like to do now is spend the next time that we have discussing your organization's business challenges and priorities around your applications. I'd like to hear if any of the things that I've highlighted set off any alarms, and I'd like to better understand your mission to keep your apps fast, available, accessible, and secure.